The iPhone 15 Pro Max looks set to debut alongside the iPhone 15 and iPhone 15 Pro at the 2023 edition of Apple's September launch event, with an iPhone 15 Plus potentially on the agenda, too. Before telling the details, we request you to subscribe and follow to our channel. iPhone 15 Pro Max potential release date. We expect to see Apple launch the iPhone 15 lineup in the fall, with the most likely looking launch date being September 13th, according to several sources. However, Mark Gurman later claimed that September 12th was the more likely candidate. We've got a look at the 7 new products Apple could show off at that event, including the latest iPhones. Be aware that some analysts have suggested that certain iPhone models may not arrive until October due to October's also been given as a launch month because of some alleged delays in production, with other sources saying that issues with certain iPhone 15 Pro Max displays were holding things up, or could mean supplies are limited when it does drop. This would be a surprise, though, especially since production appears to be well underway as of mid-August. Phone 15 Pro Max price. We had been working off the idea that the iPhone 15 Pro Max's price will track with that of the iPhone 14 Pro lineup. So that means a starting price of $1,099/£1,199/£1,899 Australian dollars for a base 128GB model, topping out at $1,599/£1,749/£2,769 Australian dollars for a 1TB version. But that could all be changed if the rumor of a $100 price increase for the Pro and $200 for the Pro Max comes to fruition. If that turns out to be the case, a base iPhone 15 Pro Max could start at a hefty $1,300, with the 1TB models topping out at $1,800. That would make it the most expensive iPhone ever. So if this price rise does happen, then Apple will have to make the case for why you should pay more for an iPhone 15 Pro Max. That's a tall order though, especially since some analysis claims sales forecasts for the new iPhones are lower than the iPhone 14's. The best time to sell your old iPhone may be coming up soon, according to price comparison site Sell. The ideal window is apparently between August 19th and August 26th, otherwise, you might lose up to 65% of the phone's resale value. iPhone 15 Pro Max design and display. The iPhone 15 Pro Max could be getting a new look, led by a rumor that says Apple's iPhones will feature more rounded edges than in the recent past. That claim has been backed up by leaks of iPhone 15 dummy units that show off rounded edges in addition to other rumored design changes, like the addition of both USB-C and an action button. More on those features in a moment. We've also heard that Apple may be shrinking the bezels on the iPhone 15 Pro Max to the smallest of any smartphone around. This is backed up by 9to5Mac, which has delivered iPhone 15 Pro Max renders that show the new model from every angle. The site says the bezels could be just 1.55mm. New iPhone 15 Pro and iPhone 15 Pro Max renders posted by IceUniverse confirm that size, while Mark Gurman says the reduction in bezel will come thanks to the same lipo screen technology used in the Apple Watch. Regardless of bezels, don't expect the return of Touch ID on any iPhone 15 model, including the Pro Max. The Pro Max may have a smaller camera bump than the iPhone 15 Pro, as only the former is tipped for a periscope zoom camera. The renders also show solid-state buttons instead of mechanical buttons and a new red color for the Pro and Pro Max. Those solid-state buttons, which would have replaced the regular moving buttons, now seem to no longer be a thing for the iPhone 15 Pro Max. They may not even appear on the iPhone 16 series next year. Other sources have also claimed deep red will be Apple's signature color for the iPhone 15 Pro and Pro Max this year, with additional iPhone 15 color reports backing up that claim. We assume we'll also have more reserved gold, silver and space gray/black options returning from previous Pro iPhones too. The iPhone 15 Pro Max's chassis could be made of titanium, and an aerospace grade type of titanium at that. This could lead to a stronger yet lighter iPhone Pro Max, which we think would be an excellent upgrade and shift away from the stainless steel edges that can be chipped easily, in our experience at least. Speaking of buttons, one rumor claims the iPhone 15 Pro models could come with an action button similar to the one found on the Apple Watch Ultra. This action button would be customizable, like that on the Apple Watch Ultra. And one report has the action button tipped to be a super shortcut button for the iPhone 15 Pro phones, enabling users to assign actions like triggering the camera, flashlight, translate or voice memos features. CAD renders of the iPhone 15 Pro and Pro Max show us what an action button might look like, while a leaked case shows us how Apple's had to adapt its usual case design to account for the new button. Adding more evidence to these substantial design changes, there was a dummy unit of the iPhone 15 Pro leaked with what appears to be an action button and larger cutout for a USB-C port. iPhone 15 Pro Max USB-C. Rumors of USB-C connectivity replacing the venerable Lightning port seem very likely on the iPhone 15 Pro Max, as the European Union has demanded that phones need to adopt USB-C as the common charging standard by December 2024. Apple is very likely to get ahead of that with the iPhone 15 lineup. That seems more likely than ever, based on a report that Apple has moved its own USB-C accessories into mass production ahead of the iPhone 15 launch in the fall. Adopting USB-C would certainly help with charging and ease of connectivity. But it could make connecting to older iPhone accessors a little awkward without converters and dongles, such as the price of change. It could be worth it for the rumored Thunderbolt 3 speeds though. Thunderbolt also allows for display output, which could have all sorts of fun implications for iPhone users. A report even suggests that some iPhone 15 models, most likely the iPhone 15 Pro and Pro Max, will offer Thunderbolt connectivity via the USB-C port. Sadly, we've got reasons to be worried about this change. Rumor has it that Apple could transition the made-for-iPhone certification program to USB-C, and deliberately restrict the charging and data transfer speeds of non-certified cables. The fact that pictures allegedly showing iPhone USB-C ports feature a mysterious chip doesn't bode well for anyone hoping to use all their old USB-C cables on iPhone 15 Pro Max. iPhone 15 Pro Max cameras. Expect the iPhone 15 Pro Max to stick with the same trio of rear cameras as the iPhone 14 Pro Max, a main, ultra-wide and telephoto suite of snappers. That'll be fine by us, as the iPhone 14 Pro Max is one of our top picks for the best camera phones. There are dueling rumors about some improvements. Apple had been tipped to use a new Sony state-of-the-art sensor for the iPhone 15. This sensor could be a new model that's almost an inch across, and could use a new design with a triple-stack sensor, which should make for brighter and more colorful photos. However, this rumor has been refuted, with another tech tipster noting that we'll have to wait for the iPhone 16 Pro to see a larger main camera sensor. Similarly, a leaker claims the main camera sensor on the iPhone 15 Pro Max isn't changing from what the iPhone 14 Pro Max offered. A more likely upgrade could be a periscope telephoto lens for the iPhone 15 Pro Max, tipped by Apple analyst Ming-Chi Kuo, which would use an array of optical lenses to boost the zoom range of the camera without needing to rely on cropping or digital zooming. In fact, the iPhone 15 Pro Max is tipped for a 6x periscope zoom, which would be double what the iPhone 14 Pro Max offers. There's no word on how high the iPhone 15 Pro Max's digital zoom will go, but it will certainly be higher than the 14 Pro Max's 15x. The Twitter leaker Unknowns21 backs up the rumor that the iPhone 15 Pro Max's periscope lens will be exclusive to that handset, so don't expect it on the regular iPhone 15 Pro. The iPhone 16 Pro may get it next year though, with an even more powerful lens tipped for the second-gen version of the camera. That lens array could even be capable of variable zoom. That would give the iPhone 15 Pro Max the ability to switch magnification levels without needing to rely on digital zoom or requiring an extra dedicated camera for the higher/lower zoom level. As a result of the new periscope zoom lens, Apple is reportedly swapping the position of the ultrawide and telephoto cameras on both the iPhone 15 Pro and Pro Max, even though the periscope is supposed to be a Pro Max exclusive. Another core rumor claims that the iPhone 15 Pro will sport an 8P main lens to reduce distortion in wider angle shots. But considering that Apple just moved to a 7P lens for the iPhone 14 Pro, this tidbit is one we're a little skeptical about. In addition, the iPhone 15 Pro models could sport an upgraded LiDAR sensor to bring in more performance and better power efficiency. Not only could this be a boon for iPhone battery life, but it could make for better portrait photos with improved depth sensing, as well as boosted augmented reality apps, which can benefit from better room scanning sensors. iPhone 15 Pro Max specs and A17 Bionic. Like many Pro iPhones before it, the iPhone 15 Pro Max looks set to bring in a new A-series chip, likely in the form of the A17 Bionic. Expect more CPU and GPU power, but also an upgrade in machine learning and neural processing to better power smart features, from computational photography to Siri. The new chip could be built on a 3nm process from TSMC, theoretically giving it more power but also greater efficiency. Apple's apparently got exclusive use of this tech for a whole year as well, allegedly giving the iPhone 15 Pro Max a power advantage over rival phones for a considerable amount of time. Strangely, TSMC could swap processes from an older 3nm to a newer 3nm one in 2024, according to one unusual rumor. This could impact the price of the phone, and maybe even its performance. A bump in memory is also being rumored, with the iPhone 15 Pro Max tipped to get 8GB of LPDDR5 RAM. Given the iPhone 14 Pro Max is far from slow, this extra performance isn't likely to be obvious but could be a welcome boost. However, one recent rumor claims the iPhone 15 Pro may only have 6GB of RAM, though the leaker later claimed Apple had tested 6GB and 8GB models. Which one we'll actually see come launch day isn't clear, and it's equally unclear how the iPhone 15 Pro Max could be affected. If this upgrade does come to be, then there's always it may end up being another Pro Max exclusive or limited to higher storage options. There's also the possibility of the iPhone 15 Pro Max gaining a new storage option. One rumor hints at the possibility of a 2TB version of the iPhone 15 Pro Max, which would help with the expected new upgrades to its cameras. In terms of connectivity, Wi-Fi 6E could come to the iPhone 15, with this rumor being backed up by Ming-Chi Kuo. iPhone 15 Pro Max battery life and charging. The iPhone 15 Pro Max has been tipped to get a bigger battery than its predecessor, potentially sporting a 4,852 mAh. That rumor doesn't come from the strongest of sources, but we'd not be surprised if Apple made moves to boost the battery life of its flagship phone. Essentially, now we've heard further rumors of Apple using new stacked battery technology to increase how many milliamp hours it can fit in a particular space. The iPhone 14 Pro Max lasted 13 hours and 39 minutes in our battery test, which involved surfing the web continuously until the battery ran out. That's good enough to make our best phone battery life list. So we could expect around that or better for the iPhone 15 Pro Max. The iPhone 14 Pro Max charges at 20 watts, which is fine, but isn't up to the likes of the Galaxy S23 Ultra and is miles behind the OnePlus 11 with its super-fast 100W charging speeds. This is limited to 80W in the US. We hope Apple finds a way for its next iPhones to juice up a little faster thanks to USB-C. Previously we heard rumors that 27W charging was a possibility, but more recently that figure has risen to a potential 35W. It sounds like this could happen on all iPhone 15s too, not just the Pro Max. According to one rumor, the iPhone 15 family could get boosted Qi 2 wireless charging, which could see the phones charge at 15W speeds. That would be double the 7.5W the iPhone 14 models charge at. Such a boost could make wirelessly charging the iPhone 15 Pro Max a good bit faster and closer to some of the charging speeds offered by the best Android phones.